Roofers and contractors fix the damage, we fix the insurance problem. Too often, insurance companies delay, deny, or underpay, leaving property owners stuck and your work on hold. That delay costs your client and costs you. At the Chadsey Wilson Law Firm, we cut through the stall tactics and fight for full payment, so projects move forward and checks get written. Together, we can anchor the scales and make insurance accountable for their promises.
We had some homeowners that we had to sue and they owed us money or whatever, but I'm assuming they just quit paying and they got away with it. It's not predictable. Other companies, the insurance companies writing estimates, denials, what is hail damage, what is not hail damage.
If you're going to lose money or you're going to break even or what's the case?
Get enough revenue, keep all your staff and everything. A big storm hits and then boom, now you can go do 30, 40, 50 million and make a bunch of money, but you're playing a risky game of trying to time when the storms are going to come.
Depressed and desperate companies out there. Welcome back to Roofing Insights Podcast. Today from the brand new studio, Eric Ellison is our first guest. Thank you so much for being here, brother.
Appreciate you having me.
2 days ago, this did not exist. This stove is actually still not connected. But thank you for flying in. We have 10 podcasts. It's a podcast week at Roofing Insights. If you guys want to be part of it, reach out. We're looking for new podcast guests every single month. You can be in the audience listening to the conversation, or you can be in that chair right there. How was the workout this morning, brother?
It was intense, and I knew it was going to be intense. I was telling my wife before I came up, I was like, I know he does CrossFit. I've just been doing strength training.
What was the hardest thing?
Just the cardio side of it. My muscles felt fine as far as to doing the weight. It's just the cardio.
Did you do cold plunge or just sauna?
No, I didn't do the cold plunge. It's just not mine.
This is over. We're not doing it.
Like, I know, right? I know.
You just All right, brother. Let's talk about your journey. So you grew roofing company Olympus. You grew to $5.7 million in the first full year,
yes,
which is very impressive. And then you scaled to $14 million. How did you do that?
Relentless ambition, I guess. It was never a goal. It was always just trying to chase the next thing for the team and what it looked like for us to grow and become a more powerful brand in the industry. And so we just pushed really hard for everything we could. We got blessed with a storm that happened at the right time. And I was a really, really good recruiter and was able to bring on the right staff at the right time. Everything blew up, and then partly for the same reasons is kind of the demise of that same company.
Share the market. What markets did you work on? What cities? What storm you're referring to?
So South Carolina, the upstate of South Carolina, that's where I was born and raised. That was where our first location was. That grew from 2019 to 2022, we opened a location in Myrtle Beach. And then we had some other plays where we were trying to go out. We had a guy that worked for us that ended up moving out to somewhere in the Midwest. I can't remember, Missouri. And we tried to branch out there because he was already on our team from South Carolina. It just didn't work out. I'm sure everybody that's listening to this knows how those things go. So that didn't work out. But the main two branches that had any real success was our main upstate branch in the upstate of South Carolina and then the Myrtle Beach, South Carolina location.
What did you do before you started roofing company? Were you in sales? What's your background?
Just entrepreneur, just trying to always just find my way. So I never felt like I fit into any of the traditional roles. I didn't want to go to school. I went to college for a second and quit really fast. And then I wanted to start a business, but I didn't have any money and didn't have like a mentor to tell me like, how do you do it with no money? And so you hear all these guys on YouTube that's like, you can do it with no money, but when you're broke and you don't have any, you don't really know how to do that. So I just struggled for a long time trying to find my way. I met a good buddy that me and him helped grow together. He pushed me in a lot of ways. So helped push that entrepreneurial journey. I started marketing, trying to do the online SEO, that kind of thing, or probably started MLMs. That's really where it started, the whole MLM thing. But that continued to grow. And then a hailstorm happened. And I knew from prior experience of passing out door hangers for another roofing company when I was in high school that there was money to be made when a hailstorm came through. So that's how I got into roofing. And the rest is really just me floating around trying to figure out how to provide for a family.
Got it. What are the downsides to growing that fast? How did you do with it? 5.7 to 14 million. Like a lot of people want to grow double, triple, and they take pride in it. What's the downsides?
You won't. Your systems won't scale that fast, and so when your revenue is going that fast, you're going to lose a lot of money going in whichever direction that you're not going to know.
Say it louder for the people at the back. You can lose money if you make more in sales.
Yes, it's a tricky beast because you just don't know where it's happening. The idea of it is like, oh, more revenue, more profit. And in theory, that should work out. But in practice, if you don't grow at a steady pace, at the right pace, to make sure you have systems tracking the things that you want to do as you're growing, then you're just going to end up at a place of like, everything is gut instinct, and your gut instinct to operate a business it's not going to end well. There's a movie that I like, and he says, hope's not a tactic. And I feel like without scaling your systems properly with your company, it's just using hope as a tactic. And I'm living proof that that's not going to work.
Can you give me example of blind spots, how a roofing business of that size losing money and not even knowing it until later day?
Yeah. So what we did is I was continuing to try to improve margin, low margin contracting. So I was trying to find ways to improve margin. We brought everything internally. So we were doing gutters, solar, roofing, and all of that was done internally with internal crews. And so with trucks and maintenance and vehicles and staff and employees, it's just all moving, and it's just so hard to get a grasp on it, especially once it gets out of control. So I would encourage everyone listening, get it under control before you scale, because once you start scaling, then it just takes on a life of its own, and it's really hard to bring that back in and get everything back situated.
Just a giant overhead, all the bills, all the little needy.
Yeah, and it's probably not even the legit stuff. It's the illegitimate stuff that if things weren't moving so fast because you're doing so much revenue, you'd be able to slow down and be like, we don't need to pay that, or we don't actually need these licenses, but you don't have the time to slow down. I've learned so many things about the demise of my roofing company, being able to take a minute, sit by the pool, and just try to figure out what happened, what decisions should have been made better, what could I have done better, and so a lot of revelation has come from those mistakes.
When did you realize that you're heading for bankruptcy and there's no way out? And how did you arrive to that? Was it attorney, banker? Who told you or advised you to file bankruptcy?
Yeah, so I'm trying to relive that because it was just so fast, and it felt like surreal in the moment that it was happening. Because you hear the stories of people go bankrupt, but as an entrepreneur, you're like, I'm not going to do that. That's not going to happen to me. And so I don't ever really remember internalizing it. Like I have a gambling nature by spirit, and so I'm always feeling like I'm going to win. I always feel like if I just get another chance, or I'm going to figure out this next thing, and we did that for a long time. I think it started rolling down is when the insurance market really started changing, and we just couldn't even get claims approved anymore. And so between that and then the solar thing, interest rates being high, our solar division was struggling, obviously because of interest rates, and it just was hard to make sense from that side. And so we didn't really have any good solid revenue. And as that started happening, I started seeing the writing on the wall of like, I just don't know how I'm going to replace this revenue, where that money's going to come from to keep the staff and keep this going. I felt like if I could, everything changes. There's peaks and valleys. I'm a huge believer in Christ. And so I believe that there's always these peaks and valleys. And so I've really believed that if I could get through that last valley, that there would be another peak. It's just that last valley is the one that kind of...
A lot of people don't understand how risky roofing business is. Everybody counts money in millions. Like, how can you do it? Like, when you filed your bankruptcy, what was your yearly salary? 14 or less? What did you do last year before you filed bankruptcy?
In revenue?
Yes.
For the company?
Yeah.
I think it was like 13.8 or something like it. It was somewhere. I round up to the 15 because I really don't know exactly.
And how much did you file bankruptcy for? Like a couple million?
Yeah, it was mainly, unfortunately, distributions. They got hit the hardest, and then a couple of the, and if you don't mind me telling your audience, don't do these. What are they?
MCAs?
MCAs. Those, that killed us. That just killed us. And so it was workers' comp that the first reason of why we ever got approached by those people and needed to take the money was a workers' comp audit that we got killed with, blah, blah, blah. But don't take the money from the MCA people because they're just relentless.
First
and they're
50%.
They're just going to kill you. They're just going to kill you. And in a low margin business, they're just eating any bit that you can. So you're just going to get stuck down there at the bottom.
MCA loans, behind on your bills. When did you realize you have a hole and you're just servicing that at that point? How much was your work audit? Sounds like that was one of the first.
Say that one more time.
The work audit. How much money did you have to come up for that?
Total, we probably paid $250,000 in worker comp audits over a 3-year period. I think the first time it was like 60 or 70,000, and then the next time I think it was like 180, and then we settled that for like 120.
Always not expected.
Yeah, the guy, the first workers comp audit guy, my partner handled all that. And so he came in, and then the next year when he audited us again, he said, I never thought I'd see you guys again. He said, usually when I hit you guys with an audit like that, there's never a round 2. Closing. Yeah, they're never coming back to see us again. So I was actually proud that we made it as long as we did, considering some of those factors, but it we started during COVID. There's a lot of things, but also got to take full responsibility, like leadership issues. It started with me at the top, and so have to take responsibility for that. And I believe in just doing better. Get back at it, get back on the horse, take your time, learn your lessons, and then get back after it.
Oh, as a matter of fact, I have the theory, and I want to engage with you, my audience. Comment below if you agree with this theory. You know how we always say that 80% of roofing contractors fail within the first 2 years? I think personally that work comp is the reason why, because usually within the first year or 2 years, roofing business, siding contractors, gutters, like any exterior trade gets hit with this huge bill that they cannot pay. So what do? They go and they close that LLC and they start a new one. So it's not like they actually go out of business, but they restructure, and usually they get a little bit smarter. They don't hire employees. They're a little bit smarter. I know people who've done it like 4 or 5 times only because of their work comp audit. They'll register a company on their wife's name or their business partner or their son or whatever, right? Because nobody wants to pay that $50,000, $60,000. If you only do $1-2 million first year, you don't have that kind of money laying around. And if it's a scale, right? So here, pay $50,000. Here, start a new company. Well, this is $1,000 solution. So I think that there are more people staying in business, but they're just restructuring their companies.
Yeah, and when the industry has been primarily built off of door to door, let's be honest, your name that doesn't really carry that much weight. Maybe in your more retail markets, but in your huge storm environment markets, your company name is a dime a dozen. People don't know. Maybe some, but I don't think the majority do. And so why not? Why not just start a new name? And so the problem is what is the correct way now? What is the right way to do things? Yep. And so that's a struggle. So
any homeowners who didn't get jobs done through bankruptcy?
So it's a long story as far as how everything ended. As a little bit of I'm not even going to go there. So at the end of it, I'm not exactly sure. I would love to be, just to be frank, I'm not sure. I don't believe so, though. I don't know of any stories that's ever made it to me of a homeowner that was damaged. We're taking money. We didn't do their job. Actually, if all reality, I think some homeowners probably made out well because of our accounts receivable. I don't think the bankruptcy attorney, I don't know. I don't know if they ever collected that money. So we had some homeowners that we had to sue and they owed us money or whatever, but I'm assuming they just quit paying and they got away with it. I guess is how that works. I really don't know.
So how stressful was it for you?
I don't want to say stressful because, again, I'm going to keep pointing to my faith. Like, I just believe in what I believe in. And so I wasn't really worried about that. I was heartbroken for my staff. That part bothered me. And so that part was stressful, as worrying about how the staff was going to land. I felt confident in my abilities and my entrepreneur. Like, I'll find my way. Things may get worse, they'll get better. That's just going to be my life, and I'm fine with that. I was worried about the staff that I cared a lot about. Luckily, now, I guess 18 months later, most of that staff is doing really well, to the best of my knowledge. So I'm glad everyone landed on their feet, but that was the tough part, is you feel like you're the leader and you're the one that's got everybody's back and you're taking care of people, and then there just comes a day where it's just like a hard stop and you can't do it anymore. And it's not because you don't want to. And so that was a tough pill to swallow, but you got to swallow it. I mean, they're not going to let you just keep going. So it was tough, but tough times, make sure.
Well, South Carolina is crazy. I'm looking at so many companies. We recently did this Mary Jane story, and she keeps going like 4 or 5 years, owns like millions and millions, and she's not closing doors. I know a lot of contractors who lose money every single year. And they're just screwing. Like, money has to come from somewhere.
Right.
So if you lose money every year to suppliers, to your overhead, where is the money coming from? It's coming from your sales reps. It's coming from your crews.
Distribution.
Someone is financing you.
Yes.
And it's so shady. Like, what's going to happen is you're going to switch from SRS to Beacon because SRS is going to, cut you off. Mm-hmm. And it's the shadiest way of.
And then you just go out and you hurt more people. It's just exactly what we did.
Exactly.
They cut us off. We go to the next supplier. In good faith and in good spirit, you want to do
survive.
The right thing. I mean, what else do? You just don't throw your hands up. That's not what entrepreneurs do.
So what do you think? Do you feel like it should be more regulated, like based on how far you got to, because you had good intentions, but there are a lot of guys who have bad intentions. And if I want to screw a couple, 100 people, it's not that hard.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know, because you see it happen everywhere. Florida's the most regulated state and you still see it. So, I mean, maybe what you're doing, is just educating homeowners so they make better decisions, maybe going directly to the people, because
shed
it
the light
doesn't
on it.
seem like we can get a big enough group of solid people and roofers that want to do the right thing, that don't have any ill intent. And so maybe it just goes to the responsibility of the homeowner to pick your contractor well. I mean, maybe that's just what it boils down to.
Here's the theory number 2 that I have today. Comment below if you agree with this one. You know how we always say that cheapest bidders out there, like chucking the trucks and stuff. Well, in my experience, the cheapest bidders are usually the most depressed and desperate companies out there. And I have seen, because people send me quotes all the time, I've seen big brands going so cheap. Like people send me estimates like, how do they do it? It's below our cost or it's break even. And the reason there's so many cheap prices out there, because contractors will do anything to survive. Because if you're already upside down, you just need to get money in. You don't care if you're going to lose money or you're going to break even or what's the case. You just need that $100,000 to meet your payroll. And you know you're going to lose money.
Yes.
And it's going to get even worse. And it's happening, guys. It's happening all in the comment below if you agree. And that's why so many big companies are so cheap. Because they know they're heading for that bankruptcy. They just need that Ponzi scheme robbing Peter to pay for a little bit longer.
Well, and it works too if you can stay around long enough, because with the way the storm environment works, you can capitalize so much in that storm environment. So like a big company that is struggling, they're just bringing enough revenue, they're just paying the bills, they're just barely treading water.
Just lower the prices, get
enough revenue, keep all your staff and everything. A big storm hits, and then boom, now you can go do 30, 40, 50 million and make a bunch of money. But you're playing a risky game of trying to time when the storms are going to come, Mother Nature, and who knows when it's going to come. I'm a victim of it. I started in roofing in 2017, like really started in roofing, and it never really held again.
It's gambling. It's just like going to Las Vegas. It's like,
it's not predictable. Other companies, the insurance companies writing estimates, denials, what is hail damage, what is not hail damage. I don't even think anyone can say that now. What is hail damage? I've been with many adjusters that say that's hail damage, and it's not, or at least in my opinion, it's not. And so what is true, what is right? The retail space, I think, is definitely going to grow because the insurance space is just becoming so impossible.
Got it. Looking back, what's one process you wish you had built earlier at Olympus?
I wish I would have stepped away to build my software. That was the biggest thing I wish I would have done. I wish I'd have made a more clear and decisive decision instead of thinking I'm a superhero and I'll just outwork it and I'll just do as many hours as I need to. I wish I would have stepped away from the roofing company while it was smaller, built out the systems that I was talking about before that I needed to do what I wanted to do, and then went back and retook control of my roofing company.
So after your roofing company, you want a new tech. My question is, what's harder to run, a roofing company with dozens of reps or a new tech startup?
Roofing company for sure. You're just dealing with people. Now I actually deal with Grok AI more than I deal with people, with APIs and code and stuff. And so people are difficult. Everyone knows that. The bigger your staff, the more headache you're going to have, and it's worth it, but it is a headache nonetheless. And so when you're working with AI, it's not a headache at all. And code, it either does it or it doesn't do it. So I would definitely say the software space I'm going to enjoy a bit more than the roofing space.
When you're self-taught, how do you know when to figure it out yourself versus where to hire expert?
I don't know. You tell me. I'm still trying to figure that out. I think way too many times I don't take good advice, or I just don't seek out advice at all because I feel like I'll find my own way. And then I feel like those are positives where I'm guided by my own gut instinct. And there's times where I feel like I hamstring myself because I don't seek it out enough. So I don't know. I don't know what the right balance of that is. I just try to let my faith guide me. Again, I know I keep saying that, but that's where I go to because I'm just not sure what the correct balance is because you don't know who you're listening to. And if you listen to the wrong person, and we all know some of those names, and then you just end up in a worse spot. So do you listen to yourself or do you listen to other people, and how do you trust the other people that you're listening to? All great questions. I'm not sure that I have any great answers.
Love it. So let's talk about industry trends. You've gone from roofing to building CRM for contractors. What industry gaps you trying to fill, and what do you feel like the gaps are in the industry right now?
Simplicity. I think that's just really the most difficult part is you have people running around from this platform or this software and this software. Like somebody starts and you're like, okay, you have this login, and they all require, different passwords. And this is funny, but it's also annoying is if each platform requires a different type of password, capital, all your reps they got login for this and login for this, login for this, and they different passwords that they get a new phone. It's just complicated. And so what I'm trying to bring is simplicity to the CRM space of putting everything in one single platform that's customizable and can be strategically operated or strategically built specifically for your company and the things that you're trying to operate on. And then making sure that's all in one platform so that everyone knows where to go.
I love that answer. Funny enough, as a Roofing Insights, like I had to review a lot of products, a lot of apps, but my roofing company, Stormgroup Roofing, I'm a minimalist. Like if I don't need it, I don't sign up for it. Like I want 5 apps. Like you have go-tos. Like I'm more productive on my notes than on my CRM. I have CRM, but my notes is where shit happens. If I create a note, if I create a reminder, like keep it simple. Any idiot can complicate it. Simplicity wins. 100% agree with you there.
Yep.
So how does your CRM solve pain points better than any other sources out there?
Well, I think the main point that I tackle is obviously from my experience in my roofing industry, which is the accounting side. And that's a place that many people just don't show a lot of focus or attention to. We like the sexy features and the fun features, which are good and great, and we need them. But ultimately, we're all in this to make money. I don't think any of us are in this because we love asphalt shingles, so we're in it to make money. And so we need the CRMs that we're using need to show a little bit more of a priority to how are we managing the money on the projects that we're taking. Because we all know on the back end as owners, the margins are low. You don't have a ton of wiggle room. And so you need something that's really supporting that back end accounting. I think we've done that. And I'll be interested for your viewers to take a look at the website and give me some review feedback and what you think.
Of course. So what one process tech could fix tomorrow? Obviously, we're not going to be seeing drones installing roofs anytime soon. I mean, they can wash roofs here and there.
Yeah.
I think it's all for TikTok. It looks cool on video. It looks cool to raise a couple $1 million.
Yes.
Like robots. Do you feel like we're going to have technology actually replacing roofs?
Yeah, I think so. I think so at some point. I just don't think I don't think we know what it'll look like. I don't think it'll look the way that, like, what we envision that to be. That's why I think we're like, that won't happen. I think they'll come up with some sort of idea that we're like, I didn't even know you would be able to do it that way. Something that's very simplistic and keeps a very clean and tidy work job. I think that'll happen, but I think AI is going to help solve all these problems. Now that may create another problem, but I do think it'll solve those kind of problems. And
we will finally have 6 nails per line every single time in the nailing zone.
Yes.
Because if you think that your crew is doing it, they are not. I've never seen perfect.
If you hear that nail gun go off that fast, there's no way that you hit the nailing zone. That just happened too fast.
What's one process tech could fix tomorrow in our offices or should fix?
Again, simplicity. We have our office people running around trying to add stuff into an Excel sheet and then to a CRM and then to QuickBooks. And then you just so what's what? Where is the right place for this data to be stored? Like we need to make the job more simple, and we've made it more complicated than what it needs to be. I don't know why we've chosen to go that route. I could be a fool, but I don't believe that I am.
What do you think about all parties now using AI, ChatGPT is predominantly probably. And what I see is adjusters are using it, roofers are using it. It's like we talk to each other through that, and you can see it, like there's prompts not even removed, right?
Yeah.
Like sending emails, like you're talking about desk adjusters. And anyway, what's your take on that? And does it really fix the problem? Because now when 2 parties use the same tool, it's like a weapon, right? Like it reminds me of how Christians fight, like with the Bible verses.
Yes.
Bible says this. Oh, Bible also said that.
Yeah, there's another verse over
That's
here.
How we use ChatGPT now, but here's this code. But you also have that.
Yeah, I just think, and I'm sorry, what was the question that you're really asking?
Just what do you think AI really fixing it or just making the core problem bigger? Because they're still trying to deny claims. We still try to improve. We just have the same tool that we use against each other. But does it really help?
I don't know. I think we're all still going to go back to the original question: is what is hail damage? What does that look like? How do you define it? No, I don't really see AI being a big help in the negotiation process between roofer and contractor. However, I do think there's going to be possibilities that AI can maybe mend the relationship between roofer and contractor in systems and availability, the way that you can interact with an insurance company, your back end processes of getting money released. There's a lot of things on why roofers don't like insurance companies. Hail damage and getting claims approved is one of them, but Another one is the back end of getting the money and collecting those checks. And so I do think AI would be able to help solve areas in that aspect, to be able to process those things a little bit faster. But you don't know what the intent of the insurance company is. If the intent of the insurance company is delay, then no, it's just going to make them better at stalemating, and it's going to make us better at trying to get them to do what we want to do. But we're going to end up in the same spot, I believe.
I think number one question people are going to be asking is not if it's a hail damage. The question that people are asking more and more now is it real or handmade damage?
Yeah.
Let's talk about vandalism in your area. Do you see a lot of handmade?
Again, this is just such a touchy subject because I was at door to door. That's where I started. So I've been on the roofs with the adjusters, and they'll thumb out, and do different things. So it just depends on what is the classification? Like, what is the line where we say that is intentional damage to the roof? I've seen adjusters damage the roof. I've seen adjusters break shingles.
Adjusters.
Yes. Adjusters do this, or, whether it's Seek Now or a desk adjuster or an actual staff adjuster or whatever. I've seen so many things, and I think we just blurred so many lines in roofing. And so I think we can all point to we're right, but we don't have a single standard to point to as what we all agree is right. And I think that's the problem, is we don't have that standard anymore. Or if we ever did, I don't know.
I have a question on a personal journey. So before roofing, you also tried e-commerce and went broke too?
No, I didn't go broke in e-commerce. It was just continuing to try new things. So I was making money. Actually, fun fact, I bought these Yeti tumblers, the little 20-ounce tumblers when they were hot. I bought like 4,000 of them from the store. I was going to their back and just loading them up in the truck, selling them on Amazon. Did great for my family for that Christmas. So no, e-commerce was good. It's just there was I didn't see a future for me there.
How after you fail a roofing company in the bankruptcy, so most people, how in boxing, most boxers usually retire after like real knockdown, knockout. Usually second one comes around the corner because they're just afraid to get hit. You started new business. Do you feel like you're afraid to get knocked down again?
Not from me, no. I'm really fearless in that way. I don't really care what happens to me in that sense. I care what happens to my family. So if I could remove my family concept, my wife and my son, then I'm good to sleep on the street corner. Like I don't really care about most of that stuff. However, I am fearful of letting people down again. But also I know I have a son, and he's 10, and I have an example to set, and the example can't be when you fail that you just don't do anything again. I'm only 33, so I have to continue to push forward. I have to set an example for my son. So regardless of my feelings, I guess I just don't really take them into account as far as my feelings towards it. It sucks to fail, but it's just is what it is. Like it just, you got to accept it and move on, or what else are you going to do?
What advice would you give to another entrepreneur who is dealing with that failure, who's feeling like, because most entrepreneurs, we like to praise people who made it to the top, but if you look at the numbers, majority fail. What advice would you give?
I would say probably the opposite, because we have way too much feel good in our society now of telling everybody to feel good. I would say, don't look at yourself as an overall failure. Look at the season as a failure. But don't do everything that you did a disservice by not analyzing how you got there. I didn't end up in bankruptcy because I made one bad decision. Maybe some people do, but I didn't. So take the time to learn the lessons. You owe it to the people that you let down the first time to learn the lessons of how you made those mistakes so that you're better the next go around. That's all we can really ask of one another, is to try to grow and be better. And so I would just say, don't say, well, I failed and I'm just going to pick up and start again. Learn some lessons from it. You owe it to yourself, your family, and your colleagues and the people that you surround yourself with to learn lessons and try to become better. Got it.
A good friend gave you a push when you needed to become an entrepreneur. What did they say? Or did he say?
So actually, most people are going to know this guy. It's Hunter. And if you know Hunter, he's just kind of blunt. And so I remember I was going to try to take this job, and he just sent me a text message with like laughing emojis. I can't remember exactly even what he said, but it was just basically like he was dumbfounded at the idea that I wasn't going to continue to push. He's going to laugh when I say this, but it was DSD, Dropship Domination, is this little e-commerce MLM thing that we were doing at the time. And so it was that early journey where he was just like, Hunter was just always flipping stuff. And so he had already found a way to start making money all by himself. I hadn't found that yet. And so I just had a son, my wife, we bought a house. And so I was just terrified. But he gave me a little bit of a push. And then from there, I always had that spirit. So after I kind of jumped off, then I was kind of let loose, I guess.
Got it. You're 33. What does success mean to you? Multiple companies, multiple journeys. What does success mean to you now?
Success is going to be, I'm a good father to my son, that I raised him to be a good man. I'm a good husband to my wife. And that I keep my faith strong. Those things. As long as I have those things, I can provide for my family. I need to provide for their basic necessities outside of those three. As far as like 20 million, this big roofing company or software company or whatever, like I want to provide and do a good job for the people that I serve. But as far as in the capacity that I serve, I don't care. I want to make sure my family's taken care of. And I just want to make sure that I don't live a life of fear. I guess that's probably the biggest way to sum it up. I don't want to not do things just because it's scary to do it. I want to do it because there's success and there's fun, and all the fun happens on the other side of that. So I think those are the big things. But yeah, I want to make sure my son is set up for a good life, that I do a good job as a father, take care of my wife well, and like I said, keep my faith very strong.
Love it. Last 4 questions. You can answer fast, you can answer slow, take your time, but they're kind of soundbite potential. You once worked 80 hours a week for $0. Why was that worth it?
Because I guess in some weird ego way, you think you know better. And so I'd rather work for me and make nothing than to work for someone else thinking that I know better and never find out the answer to it. So I guess in that sense, I get to find out if I'm right or not. I don't have to live my whole life wondering like, well, you said Eric wasn't going to be anything. Well, like Eric wants to go find out if you're right or not. That's basically it for me. I just want to know if I think I can do something, so we're going to have to go find out.
I love how people make fun of 8 to 5 jobs. They start their businesses and they work like 6 to 9.
and when entrepreneurs say that, I think for the people that aren't entrepreneurs, they look at it differently than entrepreneurs. Because it's fun to say those things. I know you've done it. Every entrepreneur I know has done it, but we don't really look at it as 80 hours of work. We're doing things that we love. So like a lot of these people think of as you went to your job, but you were actually doing, I don't know, iRacing or something that you kind of liked at the same time. It doesn't all feel like work. I mean, there's parts of it that do, but there's other parts that's just who we are.
Listen, I've been around many people, successful, not so successful. I travel all the time. In the past 5 years, I've never met any man who actually put out 80 hours. And I really mean it. Everybody says that they work. Your productivity drops down dramatically after like 55 hours. If you study productivity of a human, like same thing is your attention span. Like if I'm a teacher and you're a student, you should know that after 15-minute lecture, the capacity to get information drops down, right?
Yeah.
So I can give you 3-hour lesson, but if I'm smart, I know you're not going to get shit out of it.
Right.
Like I have to take breaks. So good teachers, like good preachers, like the difference between good church and good pastor versus bad is good pastor will go speak for 15 minutes and change your life. Bad one will belittle you for 45 minutes. You know, how you must sit in that chair and listen to me for 45 minutes, right? It doesn't work. But the same goes with the hours we put in. You know, I can work for 6 hours a day and I can outperform you working 12 hours.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
It's how much output, like even like workouts. We did a workout today. Like that 20 minutes, like I see guys at the gyms for an hour and a half.
Yes.
And I
you
guarantee
got way more done.
Yeah. And I'm way fitter than them. And I never work out more than an hour a day.
Yep.
But my hour a day with a high intensity will outperform you 3 hours at the gym.
Yep.
My 6 hours in the office it's what you do with those hours. So what a lot of guys do is there's so many breaks, there's so many phones, there's so many like screen time and
TikTok and scrolling.
Exactly. So it's like I would discipline enough because I would rather work 8 to 5 on my business, but get shit done. That's why if you look at my calendar, it would be like 14 Zooms a day. When I come home at 5,
you're done.
You know, I'm done. I'm tired. Yeah. I don't need to work 24/7. I mean, we still do.
You have
texting, all of that. But, you know, like today is going to be one of those days. I was here before 7 and I'm probably going to be here at 5. But it's going to be a productive day. But even with days like this, I still not going to put 40 hours this week.
Right. Yeah, and I think from the times where I have worked those long hours, it comes much more from a place of the self-taught area. I have to learn the thing, and then I have to go do the thing.
Well,
and
no,
so that's where those hours.
Roofing is very different. So I actually, I would say if you're a roofing owner operator, you will put 70 to 80 hours, but it's seasonal. It's not sustainable. Like first year in business, you're definitely putting 80 hours a week. But in this day and age, you have to delete the TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook because that's also addictive. And if you don't focus like all the hours every day working, you're going to be wasting time. I remember when I had my flooring business, I worked for this GC. And I remember like today, it was early beginning. It was 2012. Facebook just came up, like first iPhones, right? Like iPhone 3, 4, 5, whatever. And I remember he sold a job, like 1,000 square feet, and I'm installing it by myself. And entire time I was there, he was on his phone watching me. So I knew that I'm getting paid $1,000. He sold the job for $3,000, right? He was watching, like literally on the dating websites, watching porn, like whole 9 yards. And I'm like, is this guy is going to be successful? And sure enough, within 2 years, he lost his business. I knew that, he filed bankruptcy.
Right.
And he blamed the economy for it. I'm like, dude, when I was doing that floors, you should be doing sales. You should be scaling whatever you were doing. And there's so many guys like him. But I guarantee you, if you would ask him how many hours he was putting in, he would tell you 80 hours. I was the guy who was working 80 hours that week, not him.
Yes. I put the little how much time I'm on the screen time app on my phone. It's on my home screen.
Love it.
I just want to see because you can tell yourself, like, I've been at the office 10 hours. I've really worked. And then you look at your screen and you're like, well, I've been on the phone for 4. So I haven't even worked a full day, but I was claiming 10 hours. So I definitely think we need to be more disciplined with our time as a society. And the screens are good, but we don't need that much time.
What's the biggest lie roofers tell about revenue?
Man, I've heard everything. You get a contingency, and now that's $12,000. We're going to average out how much this is going to be. I've heard profit numbers, and we've done this and that. I don't know. I don't want to call people liars when I haven't seen their books, but I find it hard to believe in my experience and their revenue numbers and just all the wild claims that you see. It doesn't seem, from someone that's operated and been in the industry, it just doesn't seem realistic. Maybe it is. Maybe it's different markets and ignorance from my part of not understanding. But I think people just make it seem bigger so that they get more sales reps so that those numbers can actually come true. I think is more of the play.
I agree. What is just go to work still? Why is just go to work still the best advice?
Just go to work?
Yeah. Just go to work. Or is it?
Yeah, I think it is. I think we should maybe redefine what work looks like for most people. I think most people look at work as 9 to 5 in an office and something you don't want to do. So I don't think that's good. But I do think we were put on the planet to serve a purpose, and I think that purpose is to work, to do something with our bodies, with our souls, and with our spirit, to accomplish something, to make a difference in other people's lives to some degree. And so, yeah, I do believe that would be a great statement to live by, because why else are we here? I don't know why else we would have been here if it's not to go do something.
I have a last question, and then if anyone wants to ask a question, you can. What do you think is going to be bigger legacy for you, building your roofing company or building software?
It's definitely going to be the software, just because the roofing company went under. But again, I think maybe this is cliche, but honestly, I don't care. I don't care about that. I want my legacy to be I raised a great young man. That's the biggest legacy I want, is that the human that I produced, the things that I've learned in this world, I instill in him, and he goes out and becomes a great person and great productive of society. That's I think you can judge most people based off of their kids. I think that's a good assumption to make off of people. If their kids are just wild and get to do whatever, it's probably your answer. But you see a parent that doesn't spare the rod, and you see a kid that's disciplined, you can see the changes. I grew up with both sides, and I know where both sides have ended up. And so I think the biggest thing for me and my legacy should be my son and who he grows up to be.
I love that answer. I'm so proud of my kids. I think they represent me well. If people judge me by my kids, I'm done well.
And you've done a great job if that's how you feel. I mean, I just think I have a better way to judge the person.
Yep. Any questions? Go ahead.
Do you see yourself once you figure out your CRM and you have it nailed down and you're like, man, this is where it needs to be? Would you get back into roofing?
It's funny. I actually was just talking about this with my wife. For sole purpose, that's an L. You know, I'm 0-1 technically, and so in entrepreneurship, you can erase that 0-1. I can buy the company out of bankruptcy. I don't have to do anything really with it, but I'll just buy it out of bankruptcy, and then I will officially have erased the L of my career. But no, I don't have any interest in doing shingles. No, I had my time with it. I enjoyed it, learned a lot, and it's time for me to move on.
You said shingles. You didn't say TPO, tile, slate.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay into hopefully the software investing and helping other entrepreneurs chase their journey. Is the hope.
Got it. It's a wrap for today. Comment below what you think. If you have any questions, what do you think about the interview? What do you think about our new studio? Comment also where you're watching from. I'm always curious where people are watching from. Comment away. I read all of my comments, and I'll see you in the next video.